I never played at a higher level than high school, so our games were on Friday. So, on Saturday, we might come in and just stretch, after a game. Sunday, usually off. Monday, kind of light, maybe just top heavy, like shoulder pads, helmet. Tuesday or Wednesday, you're going full gear and you're hitting, and that's going to be a tough day. Maybe even both of those days, depending on how you played the week before and what you need to work on. But anyway, you're like one of the days you're going to be working on more of your skill, kind of position. The other day, it's going to be a heavy day where you're pounding, hitting each other full speed. Thursday, you're doing the walkthrough, no pads. You're usually getting like fed a meal, and then you do a walkthrough. And obviously Friday it's showtime, and you're playing a game. So why I'm saying that is, on Friday you're not playing a game, and then Saturday you're coming back in full contact. Sunday is full contact. Monday is full. That would it's laughable, right?
Good morning, everyone. This is Jared Bass with Mark McCain. You are listening to Triumph Every Day, where we discuss the journeys that shape the lives of our guests and how it brought them to where they are today. We have a repeat. Is this our first repeat?
Yeah, I mean, technically, we were forced to have Adam on the first time.
Kind of a three-peat, guys, because I interviewed you guys once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How's that a three-peat?
Sorry, continue. Onward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those questions left over?
Yeah, I can look those up. I got you.
we don't need
Why
to
does it save as your background?
Yeah.
Don't have me back.
So we don't need to get into the nitty-gritty of who Adam is. And, I mean, if you don't know Zoda, I don't know what you're doing.
Well,
But
clearly you
Zoda
don't come to the
for-
5:30
Yeah.
AM class.
For the thousands of people that don't know, 10 seconds. 9.
Shoot,
8,
I've been here a
7.
couple years, and I went to the car wash gym, and then I followed these guys from the place in Covington that was also in Newport, and I've been doing CrossFit maybe 6 years.
Time.
Whew.
Yeah. Ooh.
Wow.
That was
intense.
I need to get a bell.
Yeah. So, welcome back, Mr. Zoda. We kind of wanted to let's talk a little bit about maybe your experience in CrossFit and how it's changed in the years you've been doing it. So, when did you actually start doing CrossFit?
I'm going to guesstimate about 2012.
2012?
Yes.
So, oh yeah, clean the gym. You'll hear a little vacuum suction sound in the background. It's all right. So 2012. So that is literally that was the golden era, if you will, of CrossFit, because it was new to everybody.
Yes.
Especially in the Midwest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was
Yeah.
new to everyone in the Midwest, because we get everything here much later than everyone else. So it was like you could open up a gym in a car wash, for example, and people would show up to it.
Anywhere. Parking lot.
Yeah,
San
so
Francisco
you could just
CrossFit.
open up a gym and people would just kind of come by the droves and fill up your gym and want to be a part of this like undergroundy, raw kind of fitness thing. And it's now about to be 2019, and needless to say, things have changed quite a bit. Some for the better, some for the worse, depending on who you talk to. So maybe just go into a little bit of what you've seen, mainly as a consumer, of someone who's been involved with a couple different gyms. And, if you say anything bad about us, I'll cut you.
Yeah, absolutely. So like comparing now to back when everyone had Reebok outfits,
Real quick, I would like to butt in our Christmas party. Instead of an ugly sweater party, I would like to do an ugly CrossFit gear party.
Ooh. I got a full skins
There's
outfit.
a lot of it.
full skin.
I'll
Anything
wear
made
that.
by Reebok in the early days. All right, anyways, go ahead.
I'm gonna wear my knee sleeve as a turtleneck.
Yes.
Oh, that might end well.
I'm not gonna wash
end well for you.
But so for one, I think like people that started back then, they might have been just fresh from maybe running, or like that was when the Tough Mudder was super popular. So there might have been kind of a certain kind of clique that would do it. But now I think it's introduced a lot of different people from different groups of the fitness world.
Backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. Like now you're seeing maybe a little bit more some guys that used to play football, wrestling, like Mike Lee. You know, I don't know if you would have seen that back then. I think the workouts have changed a little bit, and I mean, I've noticed that. I don't know if I could explain exactly how they've changed. You know,
The workouts you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think
so.
you know, to jump in on that part, I think in the early days of CrossFit, everyone, you know, just wanted to go 1,000 miles an hour, and it was all about the intensity. And frankly, there just wasn't a lot of tenured coaches, even at the highest kind of level, if you will, Absolutely. As far as how they were implementing the level 1 certs and stuff. They've always been, excuse me, really good. But even now, like seeing how they've updated their policies and procedures at the highest level, that's only going to kind of trickle down. But yeah, in the earlier days, especially with the programming, it was kind of like the Wild West. It was just like, all right, what's the hardest workout we can do? All right, let's do that 5 days this week.
Yeah.
You know,
and on a personal note, I remember originally following CrossFit.com because that's all I had known from it. And I remember like seeing like push jerk, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And I'm like, that's not a workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then I would backtrack until I found a workout I would like and then just do that.
And we, you know, as recently as maybe not last week, 2 weeks ago, we had a lady come in that was coming from a different gym and different than CrossFit or whatever, but she was still kind of doing it, but doing other things as well. And she hit one of our regular kind of CrossFit classes, and we literally had a strength portion. We don't do that every day, but we did have a 2-parter strength portion and then a workout. And literally she got done and she was like, is that it? And I was like, yeah. I mean, we had 60 minutes. We did, you know, we filled the whole 60 minutes up, board brief, you know, warm up. We did a pressing complex and then a workout. I want to say we had some rope climbs and some other things. And that was her response. And she never came back. And that's, you know, I think there's just certain people out there still under that kind of premise when they walk in somewhere that is CrossFit stamped, that they need to be on their back for 10 minutes after the workout seeing stars. And when she didn't experience that, it was like,
this might be a reach, but it's a little bit like a drug.
She's about to say.
Yeah.
Where it's 100%. Like you're chasing that first high. Like that first time you felt like that blood in the back of your nose and like you can't stop coughing. But like people like, well, that's I missed that. Yeah. And it's like those days are very few and far between.
Right.
And then it's like, unfortunately, again, I don't want to just generalize, but like generally speaking, a lot of those people, it's like, all right, give me a squat. Let's start with that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's just education, you know, so you got to educate your community and at large, and that's what we try to do here with fundamentals. And a lot of times, you know, when I'm putting someone through that program, fundamentals, it is just how it sounds. I've had a lot of people kind of roll their eyes whenever it's like, hey, we're going to start with the air squat.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, and 9 times out of 10 that individual doesn't have a mature kind of squat, and if they do, it's kind of like, told you.
So
it's not it's leading through, man, with humility and gratitude, and we'll get into that. But
well, I think adding to that, do you think that CrossFit becoming quote smarter has been to their detriment? Because what I mean by that is like again, you could just throw shit at a board, see what sticks, and people are like, wow, that was amazing. And then as more evidence comes out that, hey, we need to learn these certain movement patterns and we need to teach you this as an adult. Hey, we need to slow things down a little bit in order to get you doing these things right, rather than just saying, hey, buddy, go have at it. Do you think that is a detriment to the popularity of this? Because now it's like, well, people don't want to be told that they can't do something.
Yeah, I think the jury's still out on that kind of latter part of it. But I think what the kind of jury is in on was CrossFit will get you hurt. And that's the path that has been laid out before us as business owners. And we have to fight against that now, because in the early days, this is what this was the product of, hey, go do 100 burpees and then run
Filthy
a mile
50.
and come back, and the filthy 50, and do all these things at high intensity and low technique, or do 75 snatches for time, or 75 overhead squats, and all these things where I think it is absolutely inevitable for that progression whenever you are walking deconditioned people. Because like you said, Adam, I think originally it was for like Navy SEALs and military people that had a
Good
background,
yeah.
and they had probably a little more common sense of like, oh, I should probably not try to put double my body weight on the bar and just pick it up without warming up. But anyway, man, I think it was inevitable that this kind of maturation was coming. I think it's going to be a good thing in the long run, but in the short term, I think it can diminish some of the popularity that you're talking about with the brand.
So I think people, however you want to split it, people want that quick fix.
But Adam, what do you think? Being it's the one thing, we're in it every day. You're a consumer, you're a client. You've been a client for a long time. What's the changes been like for you?
So I one thing I noticed is kind of like what you guys brought up, and I didn't want to bring it up initially, is people like injuries. I feel like now warming up is such an important part, and that's something that was kind of looked over a little bit earlier. And then I'm very appreciative of you guys getting classes done 4 minutes early so that we can have a cool down stretch like the SOA Smash today. That was perfect after doing all this. Yeah, absolutely. Stuff like that, I think that's so much more important. And also being able to, being swole and flexy is important. That's just as functional as being able to clean 250 pounds. Like, fucking bend over and not hurt you. Touch your toes and.
So, to kind of go on that point, Mark talked about a little bit earlier before we started, was the short attention span. We've seen this rise in popularity. We've seen some really big sweeping changes on how the quote unquote sport of CrossFit is going to be changing. How much do we see this kind of drop off, if you will, with A, this change in the sport, and B, people's short attention span. You guys literally just gave the example of some of the teenagers talking about how, quote, Fortnite's dead, when it was just named Game of the Year. And it's like, so you're talking about like, it was popular for 2 months, it's already dead. People are already looking for the next big thing. Yeah. So and you've seen a big shift into Olympic weightlifting, you've seen a shift into powerlifting, but in reality, is it that they're taking people away from CrossFit, or that some of those people are leaving CrossFit but people are still finding CrossFit?
I think that's it, because I see new members in here all the time.
I think there's definitely a acknowledgement of taking care of yourself. We still have a massive health crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do see it more and more to be the norm to be doing some of these things. I think CrossFit's paved the way for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like you're, the shiny red ball syndrome with dieting. It's like paleo, all right, keto, carnivore, zone, all these different things. You can almost probably draw correlations between how often the most popular diet switched to the most popular fitness program within
Renaissance periodization.
Exactly, RP, you can, again, we can name them all. But I think the through line in both of those scenarios, right, they complement each other. But the through line is good nutrition, exercise. It's got to happen. Yeah. But I think when people don't get the results they're looking for, instead of blaming themselves, they blame the program. Yeah. So with CrossFit, it's like, oh, I sprained my pinky. Yep, doesn't work for me.
Yep. I was in a massive car accident when I was 16. But you guys hurt me.
But it's just it's the way that we can dig into the society and these things with I was listening to something the other day, or I might have been reading an article where they talk about, you remember like back in the day there was like breaking news, like that was a big deal. They were actually referencing when John Lennon got shot, and they came
Yeah.
in. It was like Monday Night Football game, and they're like, oh, we got breaking news. Let's go to the newsroom, or you actually have to wait until 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock news to like see what's going on in the day. But now we're so inundated with a constant stream of what's happening now, we can't even wait. We have to like, how many times is it? We have a developing story. It was never a developing story before. It was, this is what happens.
Yeah.
So now you're seeing this constant like, I need something like that works now, and this now kind of thing. So with fitness, as we preach constantly, on the podcast, in our whiteboard every day, we are in a marathon, everybody. It's not a sprint. So you can't treat fitness programs, and nutrition programs like a sprint. It's got to be a lifestyle.
Yeah, I 100% agree. What do you guys think about places like Crunch Fitness offering a quote CrossFit style program that is now heavily discounted? I can already tell you without stepping foot in there, the quality is not the same, but how many people price shop? Well, let me tell you, most people price shop. They shop with that dollar sign.
Absolutely.
That's why Planet Fitness, charging $10 a month is doing, hand over fist money, with the fact that they have probably the worst branding, ugliest color. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Literally, it's $10 a month. I don't care what it looks like. So, and it's almost like, I wonder if that's like a running joke, right? Where it's just like, we're going to make it as ugly as possible. We're still going to be successful.
Yeah.
But like, to give you guys an example, running through some price points. So Argentina, $40. This is average CrossFit gym price.
Yeah.
$40. Australia, $167. Brazil, $76. Canada, $179. England, $2. I would say your what we would consider Western countries are in the $120 to $180 price range. The average being $163. United States average is $169 per month.
Wow.
Which that's above our highest level. So. Obviously, people are willing to pay, but it's a select few of people willing to pay. And I think a lot of people don't understand why it costs that much.
It's personal training every day.
It is yeah, exactly. It's probably the best way to put it. It is a personal training every single day you come in.
Yeah, when I tell people, what it costs, they're like, well,
yeah.
But you're gonna pay $20 and you're gonna go here, and you're not gonna have any kind of ambition because nobody's pushing you. You don't know what you're doing, honestly.
Structure.
You didn't fucking go to school for this.
The hardest thing for me is to still, like, to this day, is to describe people why this is so much better, because so much of it involves them experiencing it.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, so much of this just requires them to like come to like a class and be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, but for them to hear it, like, it doesn't make sense for them.
Yeah.
In their mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can draw a lot of comparisons, like, hey, do you want a Chevrolet or a Mercedes? And there's differences, and different hotels. It's like, you staying at the, the Hilton or a Days Inn, or, and I think when you hear those, because it's basically a branding issue, right? Where Planet Fitness and all these places, they do such a good job, regardless of images and colors and stuff like that, but they are on mainstream TV and stuff like that, and all their gyms look phenomenal on the inside, and
organized.
Yeah, exactly. And with CrossFit, every place is different, so you do have that.
Every place is different. Again, just to give you an idea of the numbers, there's a place in Houston that is $209 a month, all the way down to $80 a month.
Yeah,
so to give you an idea of what are you going to get at a $209 gym versus a $80 a month gym, and tell you it's going to be a wildly different experience.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, think of like Verizon versus T-Mobile or some of the cheaper kind of carriers.
Boost.
Yeah, Boost Mobile, and Again, it's just it's kind of what you want, but whenever you, in a certain way, every gym being a CrossFit affiliate, it almost kind of, hurts you in a way, because they're all under that umbrella.
Do you have to? Are there rules to be an affiliate?
It's basically you have to have a current certification.
Okay.
You have to renew that every 5 years, and do continuing education, credits and whatnot, and you have to pay an annual affiliate fee. Insurance, yeah.
Do they release
CPR
how many
certified.
affiliates they get per year? Is there like a graph?
I'm sure you
I want to say that it
dig
peaked
up.
probably 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's leveled off. Within the United States, it's still booming in other kind of countries.
I'm sure you could figure that out. I'm sure they released that somewhere, but there's 10,000 in the United States and like 16,000 worldwide, something like that.
Yeah,
Is that about right?
I don't know the exact numbers right now, but 16 total is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But like 4 years ago, that's when anyone with that could get a fucking loan would go get
Right.
a warehouse.
Yeah, and that was I think that was the.
There's a low barrier for sure.
That was
entry.
the excitement for so many people, right? Is this, let's just open up this basically sparse warehouse and get this feel, but then you start to pull from a very small type of person that will go to that type of gym.
Yeah.
And well, hey, my buddy opened this one up. Well, I'll go to that one instead. And then so what you have to do is differentiate yourself somehow, and that's how you see a lot of these gyms try and elevate, and hopefully us a little bit as well. It's like try and make the lobby as nice as you can. Try and keep the place clean. Again, Katie's out here cleaning the heck out of the gym right now to make sure that when people come in, the floors aren't dirty and there's not, blood on the bars and stuff like that, and the bars spin. So like those are all things that, like, it sounds kind of silly, but an $80 a month gym is not going to take the time to do that. They'll just say, come in, do whatever you're going to do, and be gone.
A lot of people do it part-time, and that's your hobbyist, where, you maybe you served in the military and you got out and you get a little bit of money and you thought maybe opening up a gym or whatever it is, you have a job and you're kind of maybe in your middle years of your life, and you just want to kind of do something that you like to do on the side, and you can run your business all the time. But for us, obviously we're full timers, and Jared and me put a lot of time and effort into this place, and it's a full-time gig for us.
Yeah.
I think the bigger question on top of that is CrossFit dying?
CrossFit's dead.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's dead. I think it has plateaued as far as, or at least slowed down in the vast population. I feel like every year for the CrossFit Open, it was like, the first year was like 24,000 people, and then it was like triple that.
Yeah.
It was like 75,000, then 150,000, then 200,000. It was almost like you're doubling every year. I feel like you're finally starting to see some of that level out, as far as, and who knows what's going to happen now because of how they've changed everything. But I do think you've seen at least a slowing down of this like titanic rise of popularity. I just read this. I'll read it out real quick because I think it brings up some good points. It says, it does seem like it's starting to plateau in the United States. It'll be interesting to see what kind of growth they can achieve elsewhere, especially in regions like the Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia. I think a big part of the reason, this is what I think a big part of the reason is people realize they don't actually need to learn how to snatch, do muscle-ups, or double unders to reap most of the health benefits you would get from CrossFit. Many other brands having caught onto this and are offering a CrossFit-like style workout to cater to the crowd that doesn't want to take the time to learn higher skill barbell or gymnastic movements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you have to go to the essence of your consumer and why they want fitness. And a lot of people, like the average American, has 2.5 kids and a job that makes X amount of money and X amount of time in the day. So you're also, we can also talk about like things that are, like the Peloton bikes that you can just, buy and use in your basement, but still be riding with 100 people if you want.
Yeah.
You have all these smartwatches and different things now, and count your steps and your heart rate, and we're inundated with so many options. People, and like you said earlier, Jared, it's hard to put into words. Really, the community. Like, you can tell them what to expect really with the workout, but you can't tell them like, hey, you're going to meet Adam here, who has been doing this for 6 years.
Just hilarious, attractive.
Whoa,
Wait, I'm
whoa,
sorry.
whoa. But in all seriousness, a lot of people don't want to take that time on the front end and be humbled daily with a lot of the stuff that we do, and they don't want to modify. That's a big one, right? I mean, let's be honest. People don't want to modify the workouts. They do not want to feel like they can't do something.
Yeah.
So, just think about that in any aspect of life. Like, you can't do that. Well, I just won't do it.
So many people are driven by fear. I mean, it's how many times have you heard, I don't want to do that because I got to go work out, or I got to get fit before I do that. And like, we all know that that's so stupid. And like, if you make them repeat that back to themselves, they're like, I know it's an excuse. I'm like, you still can't get them to commit to trying something, because again, there's this fear of failure, or getting hurt, or whatever it might be, and it's not just CrossFit, it's not just fitness. They do that pretty much every aspect of their life, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you can crack that code, you're a millionaire in many different fronts, But yeah, I think there's a lot of, you're seeing these large, deep-pocketed, large gyms go like, oh, well, we can do that, and we can pay people a lot less to do it, and charge people a lot less to do it, and it's the same thing to them because they don't know any better,
They hold all the gatekeepers, so to say. Like, they have all the systems already built. They have all the technology. They have some really smart people at the top that have been doing this for a very long time, that are paid well.
Their hobby is cashing checks,
right?
Not doing CrossFit,
right? and again, it's transactional.
Yeah.
They're
looking at balance sheets, not personalities, and actual clients.
Yeah, I agree. Adam, what do you? Well, how many years have you done the Open?
Maybe 4.
Yeah.
Very competitively. It was earlier.
Yeah.
But recently I've kind of taken a step back from it, and I won't be super intense at the Open. I mean, I think it's great, and I love it for people that do it. But for me, it's just kind of like another workout, and maybe I kind of look at it differently, or I don't. Some people might even think it maybe a bad attitude. I don't know.
Well, I guess my question is like, how do you feel about? So I think it's such a good thing to move away from the emphasis of the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
I think it's a way better path for CrossFit to go. Again, like and again, it's good PR, and Greg Glassman did a great job of spinning it, and then, hey, we're trying to help the average person, not
Yeah.
Because again, CrossFit Games is not Greg Glassman, that's Dave Castro.
Yeah.
CrossFit as a whole is much more of what he's concerned about. So I think my point is with that is, are you going to hurt the popularity of it, like I said before, just because you're getting rid of this format that so many people are clinging to? Or are you, in the long run, are you going to take this kind of step back, so to speak, to hopefully, because again, Greg Glassman, if you ask him, he wants 100,000 plus affiliates.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say 20,000 on the high end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're a fifth of the way there. Does de-emphasizing that take away from that ability to get there?
So I'm kind of out of the loop. Are they changing the games?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
okay.
I think after you.
No, I was just gonna say, I think it's the first step to rebranding what CrossFit is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people. I mean, Jerry, we were in here. We had a middle school team in here, and a lot of their parents were coming in, and it was funny because you almost had that like fly on the wall moment, and their parents are middle schoolers. Parents are probably in their 40s, and all of them looked like there wasn't like, no one morbidly obese and with a cane or anything like that. Just kind of normal kind of parents, and they started mentioning things like, I can never do this. Oh my God, my one friend did this and they ruptured their bicep. And it was all the horror stories.
Yeah.
It was all. So when you mentioned like Craig Glassman's goal is 100,000 affiliates, the only way, in my opinion, humble opinion, he'll get there is if you rebrand CrossFit for the everyday, and you start telling these stories. You saw it with some of the marketing at the games last year. They had those people on there that had major weight loss success.
Yeah.
And when they can start telling those stories a little more, and webbing, or threading that through lines, it's not Rich Froning, Matt Frazier, which are awesome. It's awesome to be able to compare and contrast. But once they can make it more realistic for the everyday person, then I think you can still see a lot of growth.
Yeah. It's intimidating.
It's super intimidating. Yeah, it's got to be, just that, less intimidating. Because again, you're still hearing a lot of women that come through the door like, oh, I don't want to get bulky. CrossFit makes you bulky.
I'm like, I've been
Look
trying.
at these guys, bro.
I've been trying to be bulky for almost 10 years.
Again, we've had Judy, on the podcast before, and that was someone the other day just started, and I was like, she comes 6 days a week, and has been doing that for 5+ years.
Mm-hmm. And she's
like,
a beast.
And she's a beast, but she is very petite
and very feminine. Like,
very feminine.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't look like, Katrin Davis' daughter, or someone that's maybe a little more muscle.
And again, so many people, and again, it's an excuse. All it is an excuse.
Yeah.
It's an excuse not to start something, because I just went and picked up that 10-pound bumper plate and I blew up. Like, it's just, it does not happen, but that's a whole nother psychological, you could get into the depths of like, gender roles and this and that. Like, that's a whole nother world of can of worms that I'm not educated enough to actually talk about. But there is some truth behind, these like, this thought that like you have to look this way, and this is the only way you can eat, and this is the only exercises you can do, and if you do it this way, you're going to get hurt and end up in the hospital, and it's like more and more doctors realize like, oh, you do have to get a full range of motion out of those hips, or else they'll just seize up. And lack of activity is one of the worst things you can possibly do. Zoda, to give you an idea, since you fill everybody else in who maybe doesn't know about the changes to the CrossFit Games. So the Open and Games will take place in February and August like usual, but immediately following in 2019, in October of 2019, the second Open will take place, and that will usher in the new CrossFit Open. Okay, so next year will be the same as normal, but there will also be another Open in 2019, and then there's 162 countries with a CrossFit affiliate, and each one of them will only allow one male and one female and one team to qualify for the CrossFit Games.
Holy cow.
So that's, think of everyone that gets to the games from regionals.
Yeah. We're
taking one guy and one girl.
That's crazy.
So like the running joke was, as soon as they made the announcement, it was like, so-and-so is like Google, and it was like, what countries don't have CrossFit affiliates?
Oh, how long do I have to live there before?
Exactly. So like that's the new running joke, but it's going to be, think of like the Olympics, right? They're sending so many people. So, but that being said, it's going to give the games will be about 350, give or take, athletes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of athletes because one male, one female. And then the other part of that is a work a lot like the kind of U.S. Open, the PGA, where certain sanctioned CrossFit events will be qualifiers for the CrossFit Games.
Like the Granite Games or something like that?
Granite Games, the Wadapalooza, the Dubai Classic. So all these things are now golden tickets.
That's cool.
If you win that, you can go to that. Because then it takes some of the pressure off of just CrossFit Games doing all this work.
Yeah, allow the third parties to.
And again, a lot of this is involved around money, right? So the big kicker was it Brazil regional, Central America, or something like that, where they paid, it was over $1 million in equipment, travel, and all this stuff. CrossFit HQ paid out to bring one team, one guy, and one girl. So they're like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
You know, so the Open is going to be, there's no more regionals.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the
Oh,
Open.
wow.
So you do the Open,
Mm-hmm.
and the top person, they go from your country,
Interesting.
which is crazy. I mean, again, Matt Frazier's won the Open, but there's been times where it's like, oh, he's not at the, you know, it's like whoever's
Yeah,
at the top.
exactly. Because he'll do great at
workouts.
certain
Crazy.
things, but then
And then the crazy part of that just means that those workouts in the Open will have to be more, they'll be heavier, they'll be
Diverse.
higher skill,
Okay.
they'll be more, they'll be more
Yeah.
diverse.
And the crazy part is, I could be a judge, you know, and you could be a judge, and you know, anyone can really be a judge, and
Yeah.
you know,
And
obviously
that's
some of the
always
issues
that's
are-
always the obviously you'll have to film it and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I mean
Yeah.
it's always the big discrepancy, right? Like, well, at that angle his hips weren't below
Yeah.
below the knees on wall balls, and but it does mean you'll see, we already saw handstand walks, right? You'll probably see pistols come up just because it's a high skilled thing. You'll, you know, for a while it seemed like CrossFit was a lot of heavy lifting, and then it switched to more gymnastics type stuff, and then it's just
balance.
it's and now it's balance, right? And who knows, you know, are you going to be expected to have a Rogue Eco bike because Rogue has a partnership with
Yes,
them?
yeah.
Are you going to have a true form runner because we're going to include a 400-meter sprint at the end of the workout?
or those
You
weird
know?
platform things that they
We're
did. The
not going to
handstand.
be in
Yeah.
the Open, guys.
Exactly. So, and I don't think they're that dumb to go down that road to be like, you have to have this specialized piece of equipment for your whole gym to use.
You know, it's fascinating. You know, when you break it down, that in all reality, it's going to boil down. You know, this big kind of upheaval because people really wanted to go to regionals, and that's great. And it's a lofty goal for a lot of people because, again, you're talking about a very small percentage, but an even smaller percentage actually have a chance to be the fittest man or woman, fittest team in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So when you really think about it,
In the world, it's
yeah,
not.
when you really think about it, it's about 10 people,
Yeah.
and we can probably name them right now. But you know, and again, every year there's a surprise. There's a rookie, you know, or a couple on the men's and women's sides. But we know it's Matt Frazier, Vellner, the other guy from Canada. I can't think of taller guy. And you got the Icelandic women and the ladies from Australia. There really hasn't been an American woman up there. But anyway, you got you know 10 people, and yes, the programming matters. But if it's all balanced, and Dave Castro does a great job with it every year, it's going to come down to, let's just say, 20 people. You know, you know, and I think that they're realizing that now more than ever. It's like, it doesn't matter what we throw at these people. Matt Frazier's going to win. It doesn't matter what we throw at these people. Tia or Kara, Cara, sorry,
Web.
Cara, not Kara. Anyway, so I think, you know, it's an interesting conversation. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and some people are probably like, wow, still talking about CrossFit, because it is a big deal, obviously, to us. It is our livelihood, but I think on a deeper level, just know, like, every gym is different.
Yeah.
And it's totally up to, you know, the makeup of that community that dictates the day-to-day programming and everything.
I think just look at, you know, your people who do decide that, like, I don't need to learn how to snatch. I don't need, like, still infinitely modifiable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never, if you truly feel that, like, I am not comfortable snatching, I'm not going to make you do it. You know, we're past that point in our coaching careers. You know, you can snatch a kettlebell if that feels better for you.
Yeah,
you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, muscle ups are one where, like, we do them very, very, very sparsely. You know, we had Pat Herringer on here, and I like the way he put it the best when it was just like, it's a party trick.
Mm-hmm. Just like walking on your hands.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's like, what is a muscle up? It's
That's
a
an
pull up.
interesting way to put it.
It's a pull up and a dip.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do them in a workout? and still get a great workout and not have to actually do the actual muscle up?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, why not?
Could you do pull-ups and dips? 100%. Will you still get a great workout? Absolutely. So it's just one of those things where you have to. Unfortunately, so much it comes down to the person actually who comes to the gym. They have to have the mindset that like, this is my fitness regimen. I have to trust this process. There is a reason why we do these certain things, and then realize that like not every day is going to be a barn burner. This is also a strength program.
When did that start happening for you, Adam? Like, do you remember your kind of maturation process within your fitness? So once you start, is it like, man, this is and again, everyone I think hits that point once you start any probably new fitness program, you're like, this is amazing, to this is amazing but it's different. And
I understand what you're saying. It was when I first started, this was like my life. And that was when I was the lowest in body fat, but I didn't have a fucking hobby. This was it. I came like 6 days a week. And then I think it was after maybe a couple years, I got married. I found other things to consume my time, but I still came here, and work came a little bit more important. I got more responsibilities at work. So I think there was, like any new hobby or something, you're going to be focused and you're going to read so much about that. And that's what I did about CrossFit for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I still love CrossFit and I still come here and I still have goals here, but I've learned, I just can't come here for a class and do extra stuff. You're gonna burn yourself out. And I see that with certain people that maybe they just first started and they'll come here 6 days a week, and I'll be like, man, I remember when I was like that, and I don't know if I miss it.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things where you see people and you can almost tell. It's almost like when you see someone with like a Tweety Bird tattoo.
Yeah.
You can almost like tell how old they are without actually looking at their face. Like you can see where they are in their like CrossFit progression, as far as like how excited they are to like, how much CrossFit gear they have on, what they're doing during the warm up. Are they doing
Yeah.
It's like, hey, it said strict pull ups. I'm gonna do butterflies.
And yes, and honestly, and those are the people that I don't see here anymore.
It's
and like,
same.
It's like, and people are like, well, can I come in later and do this exercise? And you're like, well, yeah, you can have at it, but I don't know, is that best for you? You should probably rest. And are you going to be eating enough if you're doing that? And I think this correlates with my response about the open, of how many times I've done it. I think now I've taken a different viewpoint of it, and I'm a little bit more relaxed about it. Because I still love the open. It's great. But if there's something where I'm like, that's going to be really hard, and I'm going to get just a good workout RX in it, I'm just going to RX.
I think that goes with just maturity in like, this is like, okay, this is a fitness regimen. This is no longer like I have to be the person next to me or I'm the loser.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and that was me the first 3 years.
Yeah, it doesn't define you.
Yeah, no, but I fucking love it, and I'll tell people that I like it.
And that's one where, like, again, like we just talked about, if I can avoid it, I will never do a pistol again.
Yeah,
because I don't have to.
No,
I can be equally as fit. Can I work on my mobility? Absolutely. Do I need to? 100%. But do I have to do a pistol to prove that I can do a pistol? Absolutely not. Do I have to deadlift, heavy at high reps at high intensity? No. Can I get stronger by taking my time, controlling the movement, and slowing down? Absolutely.
And then you'll be able to walk later too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, and those are my personal issues, right? Poor ankle mobility, and my hips are all jacked up. And it has nothing to do with CrossFit, anatomically speaking.
Yes.
I got some jacked up things in my body.
So and so do a lot of people.
So do a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
So, but again, it's having that wherewithal of going, this time that you get in your workout, it doesn't matter. I don't know if anyone told you that.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't define who you are.
It's so hard because that realization happens at a different point for everybody.
Yeah.
And you want everyone to get there.
And you're telling
and there's
everyone
some people that never really fully get there.
Yeah.
And that would be my big kind of piece of advice whenever people start. It's just like, just give it time. One of the things I tell people is this is a program that will map your body. It'll absolutely map your body, and then you'll know whenever we're 8 years in now to doing CrossFit, and I can kind of pick my days, my shots, so to say. Like I know, just personally, I would like to work out five times a week, hit the whiteboard class, and maybe some extra stuff here and there, definitely mobility wise. But what I'm saying when I pick my shot, there's probably one day a week where I can really push high intensity. I mean, like really push high intensity. There's a couple of days where I would really just like to get my heart rate up. There's a couple of days where I would like to pick up something relatively heavy. I'm not maxing out every day. I'm not going into a deep, dark hole every day. And guess what? This leads to me being not overly sore.
Yes.
I'm not overly stressed out as far as like CNS. So there's not a lot of lethargic kind of moments at night or in the morning. And my practice has kind of changed, right? So I would love to be able to incorporate some type of yoga, meditation stuff through the week. Journaling has helped because it becomes a full, thing, which is fitness, right? It's not just the physical, it's got to be mental, it's got to be even like spiritual, in a sense of if you want whole kind of complete roundness within your life, because I think a lot of people are so plugged in these days, right? You have to have those moments when you put your device away and just think or breathe. And that's really what continues my love with CrossFit, is because it is an hour of the day where personally I can just go be around other people that I like and not think about what I have to do next, but be told and know that I'm going to get a good workout, and know at some point in that workout I'm not going to be thinking about anything else beside what's next.
Yeah, and to your point, like having this wherewithal of just like, this is the day, like we put out all the workouts at the beginning of the week. Like, pick that workout.
Yeah.
Center your week around like, all right, time to go in and kill it. And then like, all right, we're doing back squats today. Man, my hips are tight. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
I'll
take that day off and stretch.
It's very much like just kind of popped in my head, like football. All right, in the sense of the game is on this day. All right, so the practice schedule is pretty much laid out for you.
Yeah.
Right, so I never played at a higher level than high school. So our games were on Friday. So, on Saturday, we might come in and just stretch, after a game. Sunday, usually off. Monday, kind of light, maybe just top heavy, like shoulder pads, helmet. Tuesday or Wednesday, you're going full gear and you're hitting, and that's going to be a tough day. Maybe even both of those days, depending on how you played the week before and what you need to work on. But anyway, you're like, one of the days you're going to be working on more of your skill, kind of position. The other day, it's going to be a heavy day where you're pounding, hitting each other full speed. Thursday, you're doing the walkthrough, no pads. You're usually getting like fed a meal, and then you do a walkthrough. And obviously Friday it's showtime, and you're playing the game. So why I'm saying that is, on Friday you're not playing the game, and then Saturday you're coming back in full contact. Sunday is full contact. Monday is full. That would it's laughable, right? It sounds silly, but you don't think about fitness that way.
No.
You don't think there are rare individuals out there that can sustain a level like that for a long period of time.
That's 0.001%.
Exactly.
And they're on the podium at the CrossFit Games, or they're Navy SEALs, or they're Olympic sprinters, or they're, you know what I mean? Like
they don't have jobs.
They are the upper echelon of all sport, and that's why they're the upper echelon.
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of those things where like, swallow your pride and realize like if you got a career and you got a family and you get like, it ain't gonna happen, and I'm not saying, I don't mean that in a bad way, but like, people need to swallow their pride and realize that like, this is just a small part. 1 hour that you're here is 4% of your day. Like, there's so much other stuff, and not to mention, okay, cool, you went ham on a workout and you want more fitness, and I gotta go do GHDs after I'm done working out because it's almost beach season, and then I gotta do this accessory work, and then it's like, all right, touch your toes. I'm like, I can't be bothered to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's I can't possibly work on something that doesn't involve my obliques, you know, post workout, or like doing ab wheel rollouts after we're done, or you know, I got to go work on my butterflies or my muscle ups, and it's like, you can't touch your hands together behind your back. Why do you need to be doing this overreaching extended?
Right.
Well, and again, this conversation was had probably many years ago with Greg Glassman, you know, and that was his realization, and he's obviously way ahead of the rest of us in the progression and where it's going, and you know, he is the captain of the ship, so that's why you're seeing these changes. You know, and he saw that, and now he's, all right, let's move the rudder, you know, 20 degrees this way, and it's going to keep on turning, and those people that are under that mindset are going to go overboard.
And let's finally get the America under freaking control of, and you know, like to talk about like somebody who's ahead of his times, the dude is going after Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Like that's,
you know, there's
that is
serious
huge.
problems.
That is huge.
I was going to ask if we had any like news or whatnot. You said you might pop on the little different format we have. Adam,
there's not. I actually already went through
got the rest of the day, right?
There's really not much else on there. There's a lot of haters.
What do you
out there
think?
in CrossFit.
What do you think about smartwatches and stuff like that?
I think they're cool.
Do they work?
Expensive.
Do they work with? I remember Colgan specifically talking about, like his, again, this is like Fitbit, and I know things have changed because again, we're like, if you've got the second generation Fitbit, it's like having an Atari. Now it's now it's Apple Watch and all these things, but it would be like he'd be warming up and it'd be like heart rate 160 beats a minute, and then like he'd be in the middle of a workout and be like 98. And it's like it just wasn't registering correctly.
I think they for when I was training for some of the races that I had last fall, it would have been awesome to have one, because I use the Strava app on my phone, and that tracks where you're at, your pace, and all your splits. So it's an incredible app. Elevation change. You can record that stuff with a smartwatch. And then download to Strava. So I mean, that would have been great. I'm always very curious about where my blood pressure is at, or like beats per minute. What are the ones that matter? And they both matter, right?
They all matter. Okay. You might be talking about heart rate.
Heart rate. Yeah. I think that would be really interesting to see that throughout a workout, because I think sometimes that would be a good like a metronome of your pace, because I'm always guilty of just going hard.
Too fast.
Way too fast. And that's like, I'm always out of breath on warm-ups, and I think it's because I'm so like static, and then we start moving, and like my heart rate goes real high, and then I start sweating. I'm just sweating all the time. But no, I think that would be interesting to see, monitor, and just kind of put that in the back of my mind.
What about like calories and burned and steps?
I don't know how accurate that would be. So
it's the hardest metric, I think.
Well, and then everyone's basal metabolic rate's a little bit different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be interesting. That would be cool to compare that, like if you're counting calories or macros. It would be interesting to do that. Because when I was doing counting your macros and stuff like that.
Do you think, that it's I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's almost like, is it a fad with, or is this like, this is here to stay with, people really caring about, I need to know how many steps I'm taking. I need to know, I'm going to pay close attention to all these new, because again, it's just a constant inundation. Obviously smartphones aren't going anywhere, smartwatches, they're not going anywhere, but more in the sense of like, hey, this is going to impact where I decide to do my fitness.
Yeah, and it's steps, absolutely. I think that was a fad, and that I don't. Who talks about fucking steps anymore?
Right. Well, there's unless you're doing it for health insurance. I know like Tessa coming in on Sundays, and like she'll like walk around the gym for like 10 minutes at the end of the day to like Gotta get them in because
Dude, when we ran the bourbon chase, she ran with us. She was still fucking walking around because she needed because every hour you needed so many.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, you just ran like 9 miles,
Yeah.
dude. You need to do more.
But
steps.
I gotta get this $30 off my health
And
insurance per year.
And that's awesome.
No, this is just a little article on. I did CrossFit for a whole year, and I'm here to burst your misconceptions. But they're just really headings. These are like typical things you hear, right? It's going to hurt. Said it can hurt, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Said you're determinant by how much effort you put into it, and
Totally.
and more so, it goes on to say you have to listen to your body. If your body says don't do that, don't do that. And if anyone, and I'm telling you right now, if you're listening and your gym tells you that you have to do something, go find another gym.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are very, very few and far between things where we will push someone to the point where we say, you have to do it this way. And that's generally because it's one of those people who we've known them for a very long time, and they have held themselves back because they're scared to do something.
Yeah.
Under the right supervision, there are very, very few certain times that you can actually push someone beyond that. But for the most part, if they tell you to do something you don't feel comfortable with, go find another gym. The other one is it's broy. Said some people think it's all a sport for the bros. The meathead, the jocks, said, but again, we can tell you right here, we're like 60-40 women to men.
What's the 9:30 class, bro?
Yeah, 9:30 class.
Yeah.
You're generally the only guy if you show up.
Yeah.
You won't be able to follow. There's a lot of lingo. I could definitely see that one, but again, if you're taking foundations and you're listening, and you take a genuine interest in what you're doing, it's like anything else. You know,
it's like a hobby or anything.
Yeah, I mean, again, you could
Work.
if again we post our workouts. You have an app. Most gyms will post their workouts. If you don't know something, the YouTubes are a valuable resource.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially now. I mean, because again, it's
Everything's out there.
the information is quite plentiful at this point. I do like this one. You'll become bulky. Again, the one we talk about all the time. I'm here to tell you that you won't get bulky unless you want to become bulky. Gaining muscle growth is incredibly hard unless that's what you're specifically training for.
Yeah. Like bodybuilders.
Yeah. Again, I have been trying to get, quote, bulky for quite some time.
Yeah.
It ain't easy. And then the last one here was form comes second. And again, these are all misconceptions.
Yeah.
The misconception that just go as hard as you can. And I can't tell you how many times I've been told to, F you and dirty looks and side eyes because I took someone's weight off the bar or got him a lighter kettlebell or got him a smaller box or, I don't care. You can think of me whatever you want, but I'm not going to have you limping out of here because your pride is too tall.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me. I just had an instance the other day where somebody had a little bit of an attitude, and I'm like, call me whatever you want, but I'm the one in charge here as far as your safety.
Yeah.
So that's what's most important to me.
I mean, you were being a punk though, so.
Yeah.
Being a punk. We're right around that hour benchmark. I do maybe just real quick if just run through maybe your thoughts on where CrossFit's going to be at in the next 5 years. You might want to jump on that one.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think basically we're getting to a point, right, where you have to operate as a business. So this whole kind of grassroots, I'm a part of something, I think is still important. I still feel like your members, our members, are they all have stock in our company, and they should feel like shareholders to a certain extent. But they also, everyone has to understand that, for us to be around in 5 years, this has to operate, like a business, and we have to turn in profits like a business, and we have to pursue new avenues. And I think when more and more people are becoming woke, can I use that?
Yeah.
To Crunch Fitness, Planet Fitness are copycatting all of the good ideas from all the industries, yoga, included. They don't discriminate. They just take whatever is popular and then they stamp their logo on it or whatever and change the name and pay someone $10 an hour to run a class or whatever they do. And people are continuing to sign up, and anyway, so I think we have to continue to look at the consumer, and there's a reason why Amazon is, the leading company out there right now, because they can sell you on price and convenience, and I think that's what a lot of people want. Is a low price, and they want it delivered to their front door. We have to understand that CrossFit isn't able necessarily to deliver to your front door, even though you can, and we try that with our 15-minute trainers. So you have to get creative. You have to try different things. You have to focus on the community. In the next 5 years, I do think you'll see a lot of gyms unfortunately go out of business that don't know how to operate like a business.
Yeah.
And they're not cleaning their floors and putting their best foot forward and realizing that the customer's always right, and all that stuff. And you have to try new things and be innovative, and you can't just stick your foot in the ground and say this is the way the programming is and it's the way it's always going to be. So I'm excited, and I think it's going to allow Triumph to try new things and fail and learn and grow. But I think you're going to have to offer more and be professionalize the coach, right? Your coaching really, really, really has to matter. It can't just be someone out there that's a timekeeper and a cheerleader. So yeah, man, I'm saying a lot, but it's a tough question, right?
Yeah.
I think by and large, the gyms that will remain using the methodology of CrossFit care about their people, and they want to put their best foot forward in every aspect of the business. And there's not the snake oil salesman that's just trying to get you to sign up at the cheapest price to increase their numbers. And people see through that stuff, so you have to care first, and you put your clients first, and you have to not be afraid to change and adapt to something as silly as a smartwatch or whatever people are doing. But yeah, man, I think it's going to be interesting times, because there is the big gorillas and giants in the industry are picking up on what we're putting down, and there's no secrets anymore. So Adam, what do you got?
So I think my take will be a little bit different. I think more of like what we do here will maybe start incorporating like new movements. Like, I mean, handstand walks are kind of like you said, party trick that made me laugh. But like the bikes here are becoming a lot more popular. Maybe when the pure form runners, that's the name, right?
True form.
I'm sorry. When they become a little bit more accessible, I think probably gyms will start incorporating that, and maybe maybe get those here. But stuff like that, like I think movements will continue to evolve. Just kind of like when we first started, it was always like girl workouts or like the hero watts. Now it's not like that. It's like we're incorporating like team workout, which I love, the partner workouts, these longer ones.
I noticed that from a lot of people, like the programming is just a determining factor in a lot of regards. Is that always kind of what deters you from coming some days, but other days brings you in, or do you just come regardless?
I try to come regardless. Sometimes I'm just so sleepy and I just don't come in, but then that's a personal problem. That's not nothing on you guys. Now if there is a day, like if my shoulder's not feeling good and it's snatch, I'm not coming in.
Right.
Now if I haven't worked out or I'm feeling like I should come in, I'll come in and modify it. But I kind of, like you said, like I plan. Like if there's a day that's got something that I don't feel good with, I'm not gonna do it. Like we had squats the other day. My little hip flexor is feeling a little tight, sore. I stayed home and I stretched. So I don't know.
What would be your piece of advice? Like, what would we have to provide for you to still come in regardless? Or is it just you're not coming regardless? Like,
No, I know, because when I had my back sprain like 6 months ago, I still came. I stretched. I came here. I think now I have what's the stretching website?
Mobility or I'm sorry, ROMWOD.
ROMWOD. Like I have that, so I can just do that at home. It's and and I brought that thing up about snatch and shoulder. I'll still come in. I still make it a goal for myself to come 5 days a week. I don't ghost here If I don't come in and choose for something serious, like I'm just so sleepy.
Like I snooze too many times.
Yeah,
So
I'm just so sleepy.
In 5 years, what does Triumph have to do to keep your business?
I don't know, just keep on smiling.
Provide
guys.
mints at the door.
Yeah,
Towel.
Tootsie Rolls, dog.
Tootsie Rolls.
Pizza
go.
parties. Let's go. I want the chicken wings.
I like it.
No, honestly, I think as long as you guys continue to care, have enthusiasm for coaching like you do right now, which I love, and just keep things fresh, why would anyone leave? I think that's
Funky
it.
fresh.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Baston, where are we going in 5 years?
I think you'll see a lot of gyms who aren't in for the long haul die off.
Yeah, hobbies.
Yeah, you'll see, think of anything that's come curves. You see how many of those used to be around? Millions. Aerobics. Like it'll go in this cyclical thing. Now, I think you'll see a lot of the pieces that have stemmed from this, Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting, and you'll see this kind of culmination of these larger gyms kind of going in that direction, getting away from machines and things like that. But I think you'll see a couple, your Jason Kalipas, a couple of those guys will start to pop up where, they'll open multiple gyms and have a format. I think, do you need a 5,000 square foot floor space? Absolutely not. I think you'll see them move into storefronts more and more where you got 2,000 square feet, and you need a lot less people to fill that space.
Yeah.
So I think that's in short order. I think that's where it'll probably end up going, but who really knows? I mean, the business model is always shifting. You're always trying to add new things. As people get smarter and more money pours into it, it's going to change drastically. It already has.
Yeah.
It really already has. So, yeah. Anything else, fellas?
No.
That was a long
Glad to be
hour of
back.
BSing. Yeah.
That was
good.
serious,
That was
dude.
good.
That was way too serious.
I know. Next time we'll just talk about, your, favorite cartoons growing up. We do probably an hour on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about that.
Anime.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to Triumph Every Day. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and everywhere your favorite podcasts are found. Find us on TriumphStrength.net, Instagram @TriumphStrength, and Facebook at Facebook.com/TriumphStrength. Thanks again.